Thanks, Chair. Mr. McNamee, at the beginning, there was when we were debating this PR card, there is a person who's now corresponded with the committee saying that she's affected by it and gave the example. So that's the example I'm using. At the previous committee on the Canadian PR card, it appears GBN. That's how the Hong Kong government, that's how the Beijing government is identifying people who came to Canada on a BNO passport. We're told now that these are ICAO rules. Are these standards or recommended practices?
Mr. McNamee.
Ms. Maskell to take it.
Maskell, please go ahead.
Thank you for the question. The ICAO does have a standard for machine-readable travel documents, and contained within there, the country code for the British national overseas is GBN.
Honourable member,
is it a standard or a practice?
It's a standard.
It's a standard. So there are differences between one is like a recommended thing to do. The other one is like an obligation to do it because we're a member of the ICAO. So I'd like to know, in all the discussion here, since you are aware of this issue for certain Hong Kongers who've entered Canada, who've become permanent residents, and there will be more of them as thousands more continue to apply for PR, and eventually, after all the delays, will get it. Have you communicated with the ICAO?
Ms. Maskell.
Thank you for the question. I'm not aware if we've communicated with the ICAO on this particular issue.
Mr. Mitch.
Your branch has not of the department, or you're just not unaware if anyone in government has communicated to ICAO that the Hong Kong administration is using Canadian PR cards to identify people they want to oppress transnationally because they're Hong Kongers who are fleeing that country and obtaining permanent residency in Canada?
Ms. Maskell.
I'm not aware if anyone in the government of Canada has raised that issue with ICAO.
Okay.
Mr. Mitch.
The ICAO is based in Montreal, so why not?
Madam Maskell.
Thank you for the question. It's not something I'm not aware of who would be leading that, so at this time I can't comment on why or why not it hasn't been raised.
So, Chair, maybe I'll ask GAC, because GAC would be responsible for dealing with these international organizations. The ICAO is based in Montreal. I'm being told that nobody's communicated to the fact that these ICAO standards are now being used to target Canadian permanent residents who are from Hong Kong who entered Canada on a BNO passport, of which we have, this committee has an example now. Are you aware of this? Is GAC aware of this? And has GAC communicated to the ICAO?
Madam Chan.
This for me is I'm just learning now that this is an issue being looked at by ICAO. We are aware of their headquarters being in Montreal. The lead for ICAO is actually Transport Canada, but we would be pleased to work with IRCC and Transport Canada officials to ensure that some important messages are delivered, and we can look into this issue with ICAO officials.
So to go back to Mr. McNamee, what is the downside? Like, what's the effect? Will ICAO or ICAO, what will they do if the government of Canada were to change the 4 different codes, but specifically GBN, to mark, say, HKG or CHN on the permanent resident cards that are being issued by the government of Canada? Like, does somebody monitor this, or can it just be a practice of the government to protect these Hong Kongers who fled, who get PR, to simply issue them one that doesn't show the fact and doesn't make it easy for the MPFA in Hong Kong to target them?
Mr. McNamee. Madam Maskell.
I'd have to take that. Thank you for the question. I'd have to bring that back and discuss with Transport Canada and other stakeholders across government.
Honourable member, go ahead, please.
How is Transport Canada involved in IRCC-issued PR cards?
Ms. Maskell.
As Ms. Chen indicated, Transport Canada is the lead for ICAO in terms of that communication.
Right.
So,
oh,
yeah.
Chair, I understand that part. I'm saying an IRCC practice, why, as a practice, don't you just change it so you don't show GBN, you show HKG or CHN? To protect these Hong Kongers who've come to Canada, been issued a PR card, so we've done a security record check, background checks on them, and you're showing GBN, that's how they're being targeted. That's how the Hong Kong administration, the communists, know that these are Hong Kongers who fled and permanently do not want to go back. So I'm just saying, as a practice, what would happen?
Madam Maskell.
So thank you for the question. IRCC does issue the PR cards are designed and issued to be consistent with the travel document that's provided by the applicant. So we haven't explored further than that. They continue to be issued to be consistent with the travel document because they're used together.
Thank you. Time is up. Ms. Piper.